Can you discuss wandering spirits and lost souls and how they affect humans? Absolutely. Lost souls are souls who cross over, who often do not know that they have died, and they're just confused. A lot of times they come from sudden death events like accidents, and they also come from people who did not prepare spiritually for death. So oftentimes they just become very confused and lost, and their vibration is very material, which means that they cannot see the higher spheres, which means their guardian angels are having trouble reaching them. Wandering spirits are often the souls of people who are doing time in purgatory or doing some type of service in purgatory. Either of these spirits can affect humans. Lost souls are usually going to be more affecting in the way that they're often very afraid and very freaked out. And, so if you let's say you drive by the scene of an accident where someone died suddenly, and all of a sudden you're just feeling like this, that's because the soul is affecting you. Wandering spirits can affect us as well. Some people in purgatorial situations where they're wandering the earth for various reasons can affect us in both good and bad ways, depending on what's going on and why they're doing that. I remember a story that Padre Pio told where he saw one of the monks at the altar of the church cleaning it, who had just recently died. And he asked the spirit of the monk what he was doing and why he was there. And he said his purgatory was to clean the altars because when he was alive, he was negligent in his duty to keep the altars clean. And so this is what he was doing as his purgatorial purification. Another example of that sort of thing, for instance, I had seen a father who did not do a good job of being present or raising his own children. And so what happened in his case, he ended up being given the task of watching over his grandchildren, kind of as a guardian angel, as part of his purgatory. So some of these are what would be considered wandering spirits, or in the case of the father, he's actually standing in the position of being a guardian of some sort, not really an angel at that point, but a guardian. And so he's actually working in the spirit world for the betterment of those grandchildren. So what do we do with wandering spirits and lost souls? First of all, we don't try to talk to them in the sense of Ouija boards and stuff like that, because they don't have anything to tell us. They don't have any wisdom that they can give us that would help us in our life. What we want to do with a lost soul is try to help them. And the way that you do that, oftentimes for me, has been in the out-of-body experience. I'll be taken in. I'm able to communicate with them, help them understand that they have died, and then I give them a few spiritual truths. I talk to them about God and the unconditional love of God, and you talk about their guardian angels, and you talk about some spiritual things, because many of these souls never expose themselves to spiritual things during their life. And what you're doing is raising their vibration just enough so that they can actually see their guardian angels. Part of the reason they're lost, their vibration is so material that they can't even see the guardians that have been sent in to help them. And that's what we're doing when we are called in to help with a lost soul. We are lifting that vibration just enough so they can be handed over to their guardian angels. With the wandering spirits, if they're purgatorial, you're just going to leave them alone and let them do their thing. Sometimes people will do purgatorial things that are for the good. Some wandering spirits can be a little bit, get into mischief. You want to be careful about all of those things because you can be affected by the thoughts or feelings of lost souls and wandering spirits. Lost souls and wandering spirits can be ghosts. There are also ghosts of a darker nature that occur in some houses, especially when you have a real serious haunting. It's usually more of a darker spirit that it's probably a little more than a lost soul most of the time, not all of the time. So that gives you a good idea. The thing you want to remember is lost souls and wandering spirits do not have wisdom to share with you. So talking to them and thinking that they're going to tell you something important about your life is false. They do not have that ability. They can only confuse you. So never go in that direction, and only go in the direction of helping the lost souls if you are called in that direction, because you really can't help without the assistance of the angels and of God teaching you and showing you how to do so. If you sense a ghost or a lost soul out, in the physical waking world, you can do the same things that I do in the mystical, which is explain to them, I don't know if you realize that you've crossed over, but you died. And we need you to lift up your vision. We need you to start seeing your guardian angels, being open to God, because that's where you need to go now. And you can just say those things, and you see what happens. You see if it happens. I mean, I've had situations like that as well. And sometimes the spirit will then rise up and they will free themselves. And sometimes they'll come back later and thank you. So that is a lot about wandering spirits and lost souls. We are given a responsibility with them. It's really important to realize that it's a responsibility, because these are people, and they're people who need help. So we don't play around with it. We treat it with the proper respect that it deserves.